everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV, More Than Meets the Third Eye. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah So please be sure to like this video. You can't share it because it's a members only live. And please excuse my tardiness, all right? I was trying to get the other live prepared and send out the links for everybody. There's another broadcast premiering at 4:15. Okay, so with that all being said, Stardusters, let's get into it. Hello, Laverne, Mr. Hotel, Terry Hinton, Eileen, Silent D is in the house. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Okay, Claudette, Eileen, Juju is here. Okay. So with that all being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Hey, Jonah, I see you, beloved. Alice is here. Kathy B. All right. Jeff ATL. Okay. Desmond is in the house with his nefarious self. Ethelene is in the house. Ethelene Harris. All right. And so that all being said, anyone not here can just catch it on the replay. Okay, and like I said, don't forget there's a premiere video that most of you have likely already seen. Hey, Kathy B, coming up at 4:15 p.m. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this PowerPoint presentation. All right, lights up. Okay, here we go. So 14 habits that can make you an underachiever. All right, and trust me, that's one of the last things you want to be. And so I'm sure it sucks to be an underachiever, doesn't it? Hopefully none of you know the answer. All right, hopefully none of you are underachievers. But at the end of the day, most of us are. Because here's the thing, no matter what we're doing or how well we're doing it, most of us are absolutely not maximizing our potential. So if you're not maximizing your potential, you could be considered an underachiever. Not saying that you're not doing anything positive or constructive for yourself, but you're just not doing the best or the most that you could be doing. Okay? Now, the first thing that you need to stop doing, if you are in fact doing this, is procrastination. I've told you all numerous of times how procrastination absolutely kills dreams. At the end of the day, when we procrastinate, we make excuses for things that we should be doing, and we put things off for tomorrow that clearly could have been done today. Okay, procrastination such as delaying tasks. Okay, your task can directly lead to missed opportunities if you delay them. They can also lead to decreased productivity. And I tell you every day to be productive and constructive, but never destructive. And let me tell you, procrastination is absolutely destructive, okay? For instance, you're putting off making necessary phone calls or sending important emails. Now, also, if you're procrastinating on personal goals or aspirations due to fear of failure or delaying financial tasks such as budgeting, paying your bills, or filing taxes until the last moment. All of these things are to your detriment because they have to be done one way or another. So you may as well do them quickly rather than just putting them off. The more you put things off, don't you even more so dread it having to be done? Okay, procrastination can be harmful in a myriad of ways. Now, when you don't feel like doing something, break tasks into smaller, manageable parts or use the Pomodoro Technique. Now, you may not have heard of that technique before, but the Pomodoro Technique is a time management method based on 25-minute sketches of focused work broken by 5-minute breaks, okay? Longer breaks, typically 15 to 30 minutes, are often taken after 4 consecutive work intervals. Each work interval is called a Pomodoro, which is the Italian word for tomato. Now, the second thing that some of us do is negative self-talk. I hope you have the ebook. If you didn't get it free with your membership, I hope that you won it in a trivia or that you purchased it. Because I did one about specifically positive self-talk. That's what you should be doing on a daily. Negative self-talk is absolutely going to do nothing for you beneficial. Another thing you need to stop doing is the negative self-talk. You know, that little voice in your head that keeps degrading your actions and constantly reminds you of your past failures? This one's relatively easy to fix. Simply replace self-criticism with self-encouragement and positive affirmations, okay? You have an ebook about positive affirmations. Recognize that bad results don't indicate future events, okay? You can fix the things that you're not doing as well in if you just put a little bit more effort into it and a little bit more patience. And often we are our own worst critics, as I told you before. But rather than beating yourself up or talking down on yourself, just look at it as an opportunity, make it a teachable moment to do something better the next time, to learn from your mistakes. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're likely doomed to repeat them. Pay attention. The third thing that some of us do is we fear failure. We don't try certain things because we're simply afraid of not being successful. We're worried about what other people will say if we in fact fail. If we tell someone we want to open a new business and we, are lax about doing it, or we don't have the revenue to do it in a timely fashion, we worry about others saying, oh, I knew they weren't going to do it. I knew it was never going to happen. Well, you can't worry about the naysayers and the haters. You just have to do what you can do and stop being fearful, because fear is, once again, false evidence appearing real. Sometimes the things you fear are something that you don't even need to have in your mind in the first place. Okay? Some tend to be paralyzed by having a constant fear of failure. Therefore, they won't apply for better jobs, and they are paid a miserable wage. Okay, they just stay stuck in a rut, afraid to go to college, thinking they won't be able to pass the courses, afraid to just invest in themselves, thinking that it'll just be a waste of time and that they'll lose money. But at the same time, if they were thinking in a more optimistic fashion, they would realize that maybe this could be an opportunity to, in fact, generate more revenue so you don't have to struggle so much. Now, once you hit rock bottom, both financially and emotionally, you may feel you have nothing left to lose. When and if this happens, some people simply move back home with family or get a roommate to allow themselves to save money. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that can catapult you to your success. It's obvious that self-limiting beliefs hold too many people down. This happens when people with extraordinary abilities don't challenge negative thoughts that stop them from reaching their full potential. Another thing is, when I say that it's okay to move back home to try to save money, well, I'm not saying for you to move back home just so you can sit there and feel sorry for yourself and, just feel like you can't make it out in the world on your own. That's not what I'm saying. That's a pessimistic mindset. If you decide to move back home or get a roommate to help you save money, that can absolutely help you to fund your dreams and to achieve your goals. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's all about how you view the situation, how you see it. Okay, now the fourth thing is lack of goal setting. Setting clear, measurable, and time-sensitive goals is one of the best ways to stop an underachiever and turn your life around. Okay, you can stop being an underachiever very quickly. Set goals for yourself. You should have both short-term and long-term goals. Some things you can arrive quickly at the destination. Some may take you just a little bit longer. But either way, be patient with yourself and put in your work and do your due diligence, and you can absolutely achieve the things that you want. You see, these precise, achievable goals will provide you with a sense of direction as well as motivation. So, say for example, you want to change careers. Your goals should include completing relevant certifications or courses, gaining experience through internships or volunteering, or networking with professionals in your desired field. Assigning realistic timelines and deadlines to each goal and its corresponding actionable steps will give you a time frame that helps create a sense of urgency and prevents unnecessary delays, i.e. procrastination. Okay, let's talk about myself, for example. Now, I went to college and I got my bachelor's degree, and then it wasn't until years later that I went back and got my master's and my PhD. There were years that lapsed in between that. But at the end of the day, when I went back and got my master's and my PhD, I was in my 30s. I was in my early 30s, and I said to myself, it's now or never. I'm going to go ahead and do it now before, too much time, too much more time passed. And I had some reservations because I was thinking, now I have 2 kids that I'm raising. I have to work a 40-hour job. How am I going to fit this into my schedule? So I knew that I had to make a plan of action. I had to strategize, and I had to set things in order. And I had to make a to-do list of how everything was going to fall in line. And of course, I wanted to get good grades, right? Because I'm someone who wants to be an overachiever, not an underachiever. So I had to align all of these things for myself. I had to set goals, short-term and long-term. And luckily for me, I achieved all of those and got what I was wanting to do. So that's what you have to do. You cannot keep putting things off, and you cannot feel like you can't make it. You cannot listen to people who discourage you. You should only surround yourself with people who wish you well and people who are going to encourage, motivate, and inspire you to be the best version of yourself that you can be. The 5th thing is unhealthy habits. Now, a healthy mind in a healthy body, okay? Surely you've heard that saying before. If you feel sluggish and low energy, it's time to address any habits that negatively impact your health, such as a poor diet or lack of exercise. For those of you who didn't purchase or didn't get through your membership, my vegan book, teaching you how to make certain vegan recipes that are absolutely delicious if you feel like it's not going to be tasty. And I also had another follow-up book with that for those of you who didn't get it, telling you how to transition to a vegan lifestyle, not a vegan diet. I don't like the word diet because diet makes it, it kind of constricts us. It makes us feel like we can't eat enough, we can't eat until we're full, that we have to deprive ourselves of something. And sometimes that's a little harder for people to do when you have a little issue with discipline. But if you just look at it as a lifestyle, it's simply something that you change. It's just a different way of looking at things. It's just a healthier way of living. Okay? Plant-based diets are always going to be healthier than a diet full of meats and, all sorts of sugars and unhealthy things like candy, cakes, cookies, and all of that, sodas, sweet teas, and all of those things. Now I know it can be hard to start moving and eating healthy. You have to commit to it 100%. It takes discipline. That's why there are so many people sharing their journeys while online. That's why I did the vegan cookbook and the book about transitioning. Now, they don't do it solely to show off and to shove it down your throat. These people who post their journeys online, they do it for accountability and because they're often fitness fanatics, because they're proud of their change, the way they've evolved. They're proud that they've lost the weight. They're proud that they feel healthier and that they have more energy and all of those things. Because you'll notice if you eat a healthy diet, specifically a plant-based diet, you'll have more energy after eating. Whereas without that, when we eat junk foods, fast foods, and things like that, we often feel sluggish and tired and lethargic after eating. We have something that people call the itis. That's because the food that you're eating is usually just trash, and that's why it's called junk food, and it usually has little to no nutritional value. Now, for some, that's the only way to change their life around. And don't forget about your mental well-being. The next thing is constant comparison. Now, with the rise of social media, we started comparing ourselves to others much more. Instagram has been the most detrimental for that. Okay? Seeing photos of perfect people doesn't help our self-esteem, now does it? For some of us. Focus on your own progress rather than comparing yourself to others. Plus, you can retain the social media algorithm or retrain the social media algorithm to show you only educational and motivational posts. You see, you don't have to sit there and, look at images that are going to make you feel bad about yourself. If you just can't take it. If looking at someone that's fit, eats healthy, and works out and trains 4 days a week makes you feel bad about yourself, that should further motivate you to try and do what they're doing. Okay, that's what it does for me. When I see people living a healthy lifestyle, people who go to the gym, people who work out and train and all of that, well, that makes me want to do the same thing they're doing. Doesn't make me feel bad about myself. It just makes me say to myself, you know what? If they can do it, so can I. Pay attention. Now, the next thing is perfectionism. Some people hold themselves back because they set excessively high standards for themselves and strive for flawlessness in all areas of life. The truth is, you should strive for excellence, but avoid obsessing over unattainable perfection, okay? Because no one is perfect and never will be. If you have an intense fear of making mistakes or falling short of your own expectations, it can lead to avoidance of new challenges or opportunities, as well as a reluctance to take tasks. You need to break this habit to start having the life you deserve. Well, that's one thing that I used to be stricken with. I used to feel like I had to do everything perfect. I couldn't make a mistake. I didn't want anybody saying, oh, she didn't do this right, she didn't do that. And, sometimes that would hold me back because it was a fear of failure. I was afraid that I wouldn't be successful, so I would just bypass certain things. Well, I learned the hard way that that's just a waste of time, and that is nothing more than negative energy. And at the end of the day, you have to be your biggest cheerleader, okay? You have to shout yourself out. Now, the eighth thing is the lack of discipline. On the other side of the spectrum is having a lack of discipline. Now, this nasty habit is why you've committed to many things, but always wandered from the path and never achieved anything worthwhile. It is extremely important to develop a routine and then to stick to it to improve consistency and productivity. You have to be consistent or things will just stay the same. Or the effort and work that you put in, well, it'll just fall by the wayside. Because here's an example. If you're going to the gym every week, 3 and 4 times a week for 3 months, and you start seeing your changes, the improvements in your muscle tone, the loss of fat, and you start feeling good about yourself, well, that should be motivation for you to keep that up. But sometimes we backslide. We say, okay, well, I'm not going to go to the gym today because I don't feel like it. And then the next day, you say the same thing. The more you start to fall away from being disciplined and doing these things, the easier it is to just be a slacker. And then before you know it, all of the work that you put in that got you the results that you were trying to achieve, well, that just goes back to what you were in the beginning. Pay attention. Now, if you regularly skip healthy and effective habits such as exercising or applying for jobs, do them first. It's extremely important to develop a routine and stick to it to improve consistency and productivity. Do the most important things first in the morning. For those of you who watched the motivational video that I posted days ago, that's what I spoke about. I told you how Mike Tyson said that he would get up at 4 and 5 in the morning to go jogging, to go running, because that's what he knew he needed to do. He didn't want to do it, okay? He said, who wants to get up at 4 and 5 in the morning to go jogging? But he did it because he knew that he needed to. It was going to benefit him. And also, he said he knew the other guys weren't out there doing that. You see, because most people are not going to be disciplined enough to get up before the sun even comes up and to start working. All right? Have a cup of coffee. Read the news, and then go. Don't make excuses. And remember, excuses are tools of incompetence, and people who measure in them build monuments of nothingness and seldom accomplish anything. The ninth thing is distractions. Distractions are one of the main reasons why we have such poor discipline. Okay? Notifications and social media are the biggest culprits. Similarly to distractions, a lack of focus also keeps us down with other underachievers. It's just so difficult being in the present moment and enjoying it. Our phones are just sitting in our pockets filled with news, Reddit drama, Kanye West shenanigans, etc. Now, minimize time-wasting activities like excessive social media browsing or doom scrolling by turning off your phone for a set amount of time. Let me tell you something. That is absolutely so unproductive that it's just crazy. I used to do that. I remember one day, and here's what made me stop it. I remember one day, I woke up that morning at around 6 a.m. When I woke up, the first thing I did was roll over, picked up my phone, saw what time it was. I immediately went to Twitter, okay, to see who had responded to some of my posts. And then I went to Instagram, right? And I went to Facebook. Now, this is what I used to be on Facebook. I don't even fool with Facebook anymore because that was my biggest distraction. But I went to Facebook and started seeing these comments that some haters had left on my post. Now, of course, these people didn't like what I said about certain things such as racism, police brutality, social injustices, and so on and so forth. So they were leaving comments, and me sitting here, falling for the low vibrational BS and in fact engage in it, I started responding to each of them. By the time I looked up, I realized it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, wait a minute, are you serious right now? So I'm sitting here online going back and forth with people that I don't even know for 6 hours plus? Like, what a waste of energy. What a waste of time. How unproductive was that? And at that moment is when I decided, that's what I'm not going to do. Okay? I'm not going to go back and forth with people who are leaving hateful, nasty, disturbing comments, negative comments, low vibrational comments. I'm not going to do it. Because why? It's totally foolish, okay? I could have taken those 6 hours and did something really productive. I could have gone to the gym and worked out for a couple of hours, went and got me a salad, something healthy to eat, come home and done some work. I mean, it could have done a myriad of things in those 6 hours. It's really crazy. So please stop doing that if you're one of those people. Now, it's okay to be on social media, but limit the time that you're on there. And if you're on social media, make sure you're doing it to learn something, to get something positive and productive out of it, not falling for the negativity and engaging in negative people. Okay, don't engage negative people. It's only going to lower your vibrations. Now, if you still can't focus, bring the phone and leave it outside in your car. This will surely help. Okay, practice mindfulness and concentration to stay present and engaged. Go outside for a walk. Soak up the sun. Do some sun gazing. And then come back and put in that work. Now, the next thing is number 10. Impulsive decision making. Making choices or taking actions without careful consideration of the consequences or without thoroughly evaluating the available information is another bad habit to shake off. Okay? It often involves acting on immediate desires or emotions without considering long-term implications. This is what many people do. And you know the people that do this more so? I'm so glad you asked. The people who allow their emotions to take control. The people who don't control their emotions but rather allow their emotions to control them. Those people usually fly off the handle, escalate situations that they clearly could have avoided, and just get all up in their feelings and then find themselves dealing with the repercussions of it. Okay? Jeremy Brown, the man who punched the woman in the food place, in the restaurant, that's a prime example. Okay? Trent Lee Taylor, the person that I told you about earlier this morning on the other channel, that punched the lady and then ended up losing his life just like Jeremy Brown. Well, had they both not allowed their emotions to take over, had they both sat there and thought about the consequences of the actions they were about to take, maybe they would still be here. Okay? Now, some advice for this is to sleep on it. Delay that purchase or action until the morning. Like if you're going out to buy something and you're going to spend money that you know you shouldn't be spending, you have bills to pay, the light bills due, and you say, wait a minute, I need a new outfit to wear to the club this weekend. Well, you might want to think about how you're going to look in that outfit sitting in the dark, all right, and think twice. Now, this will give you time to weigh options and consider the long-term consequences. That $1,000 purchase might seem less attractive in the morning if you just sleep on it. When you get angry, rather than lashing out or acting out, how about you just try simply counting to 10, for example, right? To calm yourself down. Now, tendency to find excuses. Excuses are a dime a dozen. And like I said, they build monuments of nothingness. You don't need excuses. What you need are solutions. Now, it's too easy to find an excuse for anything that we aren't in the mood for. For example, making excuses for not pursuing career advancement due to fear of failure or unpreparedness. Yeah, I've been there. Or making excuses for not pursuing personal goals or dreams by blaming external circumstances, lack of resources, or the belief that success is unattainable. And I've been there too. Pay attention. Now, with that all being said, another thing, you'll always be an underachiever until you take responsibility for your actions and find solutions instead of making excuses, or at least feel like one. Right? And another thing is, the 12th thing, surrounding yourself with negativity. Now, I've been surrounded by people that were negative at various times and for different reasons. The economy, lack of revenue, relationship issues, etc. But just remember, you can always leave the people behind that don't suit your lifestyle. If they're being negative and you want to be positive, well, that's not going to help you on your path. At the end of the day, how do you live a positive lifestyle when you're surrounded by negativity and negative people? Remember how I always tell you to separate from pessimistic individuals. Staying positive is productive, and negativity breeds more negativity. Engage those who are more encouraging, seekers of solutions, and who don't look for the downside of situations. Step out of your comfort zone and meet new and like-minded people. Surround yourself with supportive and positive influences. And what do I always tell you all? I've told you numerous of times that the life you want to live is right outside of your comfort zone. You can't just stay in the same place and expect that that's going to get you the benefits that you seek. It's just not going to happen. Okay? The 13th thing is a fixed mindset. Many underachievers have a rigid mindset that has them set in their ways. They often believe that their knowledge and skills have reached their peak and that further learning or growth isn't even possible. For this reason, they tend to avoid tasks that they perceive as beyond their current capabilities, fearing the failure of judgment. But as I often say, there's always room for improvement, and you should be the change that you want to see. And this is in order for you to evolve and become the best version of yourself. Please pay attention. Now, overcoming a fixed mindset involves developing a growth mindset, which embraces the belief that abilities can be developed through effort, practice, and learning. By recognizing the power of effort, embracing changes, seeking feedback, and prevailing setbacks, you can foster a mindset that promotes growth, resilience, and personal development. You see, this leads us to the last bad habit. So let's talk about it. Well, here's the thing. The last bad habit is lack of continuous learning. You know who are the people that are most inclined to lack continuous learning? Well, again, I'm glad you asked. That tends to be people who already think they know it all. You see, some people think that they don't need to learn anything new because they think they're so smart and they know it all already, when in fact, no one knows everything. Now, many underachievers stop pursuing new knowledge, skills, or even personal growth once they complete their formal education or training. You see, this results in stagnation, limited personal and professional development, and a missed opportunity to stay relevant in a rapidly changing world. A lack of curiosity and thirst for knowledge also lead to complacency and a narrow worldview. I've told you many times that you should never become complacent and that you should always be striving to learn something new. If you stop continuously learning, you also miss out on expanding your understanding of the world and critical thinking skills. And you definitely need critical thinking skills along with your common sense to navigate yourself through this world and to reach and achieve your goals and endeavors. Try to engage lifelong learning to expand your knowledge and skills. There are many cheap online courses and qualifications that further your career and your life. All you have to do is make up your mind that you're going to do the best that you can, and you're going to do what it takes, whatever it takes to get to where you're trying to go. Now, with that all being said, in conclusion, what else is there left to say? Well, if you're feeling like an underperformer or you lack ambition, it's relatively easy to turn that feeling around. Shed some of the bad habits that hurt you in the long run. Be proactive and look for opportunities, and you might be surprised at what you find. All right? You just might surprise yourself, beloveds. So with that all being said, I'm going to stop the share. Now, does anyone have any questions, comments, or snide remarks? I'd like to know. Eileen said, I can't do that one, Queen. Terry Hinn said, is it me or is there no sound? There was sound, beloved. I hope that you were able to hear finally. When you find that you don't have sound or your page is, constantly loading or whatever, just try to leave out and then come back in or refresh your page or your device. Miss Hotel said, not snide remarks. Yes, absolutely. Dan said there was sound. Okay, Eileen said, you're never too old to listen and learn. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen. No matter how much you know, there's always more information available. What we all should remember is that we only use 10% of our brain. 10%. So with that all being said, you should absolutely be trying to learn as much as you can. And you should also be exercising your brain just like you exercise your muscles when you go to the gym and work out. You see, don't just sit around watching reality shows, watching drama-filled movies and things like that. Not saying that you can't watch those things. It's fine. But make sure you watch it to a minimum. That you're not doing that with all of your spare time. Okay? Because in your spare time, you should do things that stimulate the brain. Like trivia. You see, that's another reason I like to have Trivia Fridays. Because trivia makes us think. It makes us try to come up with answers and things like that. Except for those of you who are cheaters and you like to try to Google. Pay attention. But those of us who really try to come up with the answers, that's stimulating our brain activity. You can do crossword puzzles and things like that also. You can look at they have these games online that you can play where they have hidden objects that are right before your eyes, and you have to look really hard and carefully in order to see them. All of these activities stimulate the brain. Your brain needs to be exercised so that it continues to stay strong, especially as we get older. And also, never think that you don't have time to sit down and talk to the elders, because I promise you, they have a wealth of knowledge, and if you sit down and listen long enough, I'm sure you'll learn something, okay? Also, never be afraid to learn from someone else's mistakes. If someone before you has already made the mistake, why don't you just pay attention to what they did wrong so you don't do the same thing? That way you can avoid the pitfall and you can overcome the obstacles that they missed on the first time around. And if you find that you're failing at things, that's okay too. Because all you have to do is get up, dust yourself off, and try again. Never quit because of failure. You know, Michael Jordan, when he was in the 10th grade in high school, he was actually cut from the basketball team. Well, you see what happened to him, right? One of the best basketball players, if not the best basketball player in history. And at the end of the day, imagine if he had just given up because he got cut. And that's what a lot of us do. When someone tells us no, we just give up. We feel like that's the last answer. You know, we don't want any more rejection. Anita Baker. Now, Anita Baker was told that she couldn't sing. She was told she couldn't sing. But look where she ended up. Toni Braxton, the same thing. Tamar Braxton, people say that she sounds like Toni, but isn't that her sister? And then think about how Tamar had a record deal years ago, and that fell through. She could have given up, but she never did. And look at where she is today. So that's all I'm saying. Don't ever let your failures hold you back, because one thing about life is your failures do not define you unless you allow them to. All right? So, with that all being said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, and never destructive, and always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. And also remember that no candle loses its flame from lighting another. And so that's absolutely why you can share your information with others to help enlighten them and to help encourage, motivate, and help them to do better. It won't stop you from doing anything that you're trying to do, unless you're a whole hater. Okay? With that all being said, I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity. And until next time, beloveds, I will talk to you all again soon. Again, don't forget that there's a premiere coming up at 4:15 p.m. All right? And so enjoy the rest of this lovely day. And I will talk to you all again soon, Stardusters. Peace.